Welcome back to your morning. Well, hazing, it is a serious problem on college campuses and even high schools all across our country. This week, Northwestern University has suspended its women's soccer team after some shocking photos surfaced of alleged hazing practices. And while the school is not commenting, pictures have surfaced, and we'll show you a couple of them. They show women's Northwestern soccer newbies in t-shirts and underwear, some wearing blindfolds with their hands tied behind their backs, others with words and pictures scrawled across their bodies and clothing, and some drinking alcohol, others engaging in lap dances, as you see here. So how serious is this problem, and how common is it across our country? Joining us live to talk about it is Douglas Fierberg, an attorney specializing in hazing law. He joins us from the nation's capital this morning. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. This incident that happened a year ago is just coming to light now. Northwestern saying they're just hearing this case. Are there a lot of them out there that just never go public?
Yeah, there are. In the study that was performed in 1999 by Alfred University, they reported that 79% of NCAA athletes have experienced hazing, and approximately 50% of kids in high schools as well.
So you deal with this on a day-to-day basis. How big is this problem?
Well, it's fairly reported that since 1970, at least one person has died at universities every year as a result of hazing. And which obviously would equate to a big problem, but are there a lot of things that are happening out there that we don't know about, and what's the level here? Take us inside the world of hazing, in other words. Well, there are a number of incidents on sports teams that have resulted in acquaintance rape, other forms of sexual assault. We've recently filed suit in Colorado over the death of a young man in a fraternity as a result of hazing there. There were incidents of death in California last year. There are a lot of incidents around the country that result in tremendous injury and death.
So it's widespread. That case you're talking about in Colorado is Gordy Bailey, right?
Yes, it is.
Tell me a little bit about that case.
Well, Gordy sought to join a fraternity, and one of the conditions of joining the fraternity was that members drink excessive quantities of alcohol. Gordy passed out, lay on the fraternity floor for approximately 10 hours while people took his pulse and checked his airwaves, but nobody had the sense to call 911, and Gordy passed away.
That incident... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that incident is fairly typical within the Greek industry and often shows up as well in the school groups where individuals consume excessive quantities of alcohol to join the team or to show their worthiness, and then suffer serious injury or death.
Along with drinking, there are other activities that happen as well. What defines hazing?
Well, approximately 43 states have criminalized hazing and define it in different forms, but a fair definition of it is any activity that threatens to cause serious physical or emotional injury as a condition of joining a school group. Typically, we have incidents where there is no serious physical or emotional injury, and that really doesn't rise to the level where states are regulating that conduct.
When you look at some of the pictures like the ones we showed you from Northwestern University and some that we've seen in the past, it does seem that these groups take great pride in almost coming up with things that are quite embarrassing. What are some of those torturous activities that are happening? What are the worst cases you've heard of?
Well, I've handled a number of them that have resulted in death, where they're beating people with chair legs and canes and whips, holding heat lamps to their face sometimes because they're not black enough to join a particular school group. I represented a young man in a high school incident where they held him down and prodded him in the rectum with a broomstick that they had labeled Pedro. Part of the problem with the Northwestern issue is that it's this type of behavior that, if it's not stopped, often gravitates to more serious misconduct, as from year to year the students decide that there are even more ways that they need to humiliate or hurt somebody.
So, Mr. Fierberg, are you of the knowledge, or are you of the standing that these incidents that are happening on campus, the campuses are aware of, the colleges are aware of, but they just are being allowed to happen? Or do you find that this is all happening very secretly behind closed doors and no one ever hears or knows of it?
Well, I'm not prepared to say that colleges are tolerating it, because when the incidents do come out into the open, they often take stringent measures against the school groups. I mean, we've seen examples where at the University of Vermont, the hockey team was suspended for an entire year. But there are circumstances where coaches certainly need to supervise the activities more and understand the extent of the problem so that these incidents don't take place.
School's almost out. We'll begin the hazing season, I'm sure, in the next couple of months as people go back into school and enter into some of these groups. Do you have any advice for parents and students who may be watching?
Yeah, they need to understand the extent of this problem. They need to understand that their children are going to be tested to join certain school groups, and that they have to be told that they have to say no, and they should report it and expect that the school takes serious action against the other students or the school groups that permit it or engage in that conduct.
Attorney Douglas Fierberg, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.